Hey guys, I'm just Maxie here. So today I'm going to show you how to enable the cheats and probably the console command too, and also some of the other stuff that we can actually do in Valheim, which is the game that we're going to try today. So make sure you already have the game itself, Valheim, and also we're going to use cheat engine 7.2 for today. And yeah, if as you can see, this is cheat engine 7.2. And the first thing that you need to do is, of course, attach it to the process. It doesn't matter which tab are you using, just find whenever it shows Valheim over here and just double click it or press open. Okay, yeah, so I already attached cheat engine to the game itself, so let's just start the game first. Let's just try to choose some of the worlds I already made. Oh, yeah, okay, let's just create a new world first. Let's just type in, I don't know, just type in blah blah, something like that, and then just type in random seed, just to make sure. Okay, this is m- this is what I'm just testing this in a single player mode because I don't really want to deal with the server stuff or in when you're in the multiplayer server stuff like that. So let's just wait for a bit because yeah, it's probably just showing not responding because it's still loading all this world stuff, in-game world and all the trees. And yeah, I guess that's it. And another thing that when you attach the game, when you attach the engine to the game, you will see this new tab, which is the mono. Because as we know that Valheim is made in Unity and it uses mono features in most parts. So we can probably we can probably use that advantage to find some of the stuff that we usually had to scan for every single time, but we can just look at the methods, look at all this stuff, and yeah, I guess that's it. Okay, let's just go inside the game. Okay, and then let's just okay, so the first thing that we're trying to do is what? Let's just try to find the god mode itself. But how are we supposed to enable god mode if we don't really know what the value is, what we're supposed to scan, if it's continuously access, stuff like that. So this is where the mono part comes in mind. So first thing you should do is click mono and then activate mono features. And yeah, once you enable it, when you click on that, it will already be ticked like this. Yeah, if it's not, then probably just try to reload cheat engine and then attach it to the current and then attach it to the current process again. So, so after you do that, you have two choices here: dissect mono and net info. I mean, both of them do this most of the stuff in the same way, but I prefer net info because it's easier to actually look at the stuff and probably more user friendly. I don't know. I mean, you could still use dissect mono, but I still prefer the net info. So let's just click the net info instead. And in most Unity games, when you see this window, the net info one, you should see all these images over there. Yeah, you see the Unity engine because we know that Valheim is made in Unity. But we also see the system core, and the other stuff. And also we see these parts too. Assembly, Google Analytics, Lux, post-processing, Steamworks, Sunshafts, Utils, Valheim. Yeah, so which image should we actually choose? I mean, the easiest way to actually find it is just try to assume that it's probably related to game, which is you already seen this, which is assembly Valheim. So I assume that would be the correct image. So let's just click on it. And yeah, there are a lot of classes, and we can also see the player controller, all this stuff. Yeah, I guess this is the correct one. Okay, so next, we're going to find something that's related to the player itself. because we want to change the god mode. We want to make it so that we can fly, so that we can do stuff with it. So I guess we can just search for class, type in player. Sorry. Okay, yeah. So now we have multiple classes there. There's player controller, there's player stats. Okay, let's just click it on player, and then we can see the offsets here and the static fields and also the methods that are inside this particular class. There are multiple ways to actually go and start with this, but let's just go try to find if there is a method checking if you're in god mode or stuff. There's player, play sleeping, sense, safe in home. Oh, okay, yeah. Okay, start emote, update. Yeah, yeah, there are a lot of methods here, but I'm going to show you one easy way that you can easily find uh basically find the values if they provide it in the first place. So when you see this window, uh, when you actually deal with classes and methods, there will always be an instant address, an instance, because yeah, if you want to use that particular class, you need an address, you need an instance to to basically use with the class. So let's just check in the static fields because in most times they usually store the instance in the static fields. So let's just scroll down and then see if we can find something actually related to the player itself. Okay, so now we see that this is the M local player, which is player. Yeah, we know that there are multiple players out there if you're playing multiplayer stuff like that. But when we see this, the local player, it literally refers to the local player itself, which is you, the local who is playing on on this computer itself. You're not controlling any other people. You're controlling your own character, not the other characters. And it shows the value here, and we can safely assume that this is the address to the player itself. So we can just double click on it, and then we can take this value, and then we already know that this is the player one. This is the player, which is storing all these offsets values too. So what do? We just uh, copy it first, and then go to memory view, and then because we want to look at the structures of this particular address, so we have to go to memory view first over here, and then we go to tools, dissect data slash structures, or control D, whatever you want. uh, and then yeah, we just paste the address that we already copied before, and then go to structures and define new structure. And then as we can see, it shows as the structure name is player, which is uh, the one that we needed. So let's just click OK. And yeah, this is basically it. This is basically everything that's related to our player. So you can see that this is can swim. You can even you can even change this value to 0, so that when you try to swim, you can't. I mean, it doesn't really say that you cannot even swim, like literally, but uh, it might hurt you when you try to swim, because your I don't know, because it might do that. But let's just go to the other parts first. Let's just try to find something that's related to fly. I don't know. In some games, they might be storing that value as a bull flag. That in other games, you might need to create a fly mode yourself. But in this game, there's actually a bull flag where you can basically just toggle it to one, and then you can do fly mode. Okay, let me just look at it first. Let's just try to find if we can see something called fly. Okay, no, run, walk. Okay, we don't want that. Place marker. No, no. Dodge stamina usage. Okay, we don't want to touch that. Okay, yeah. Now we see at the offset 54C. And the description is M debug fly. And then when you click on the description itself, it will show you the value type, which is a byte, which is only 1 byte. So yeah, and if we want to add this to the address list over here, this is what we call the address list. If you want to add this address with the value to the address list, we just right click on it and then just choose add to address list, or just press A. And now we already have this. So we already have this debug fly, the address, the type, and the value itself. So what happens when we change it to 1? Okay, so let's go in game and then let's just try to move our character here. Okay, so now we already see that we in the fly mode. Yeah, like literally in fly mode. So we can just move here, like all this stuff. Yeah, okay. And then when we, what do you say? When we try to disable it, okay, let's just put this somewhere else first so you can see. Yeah, okay. So now when we disable it, when we change it to 0, your character will instantly be like the default one. Yeah, basically you're not in fly mode anymore. So that's the first thing that you can do. I mean, it's not literally just the first thing, because you can already see a lot of stuff here by simply adding it to the address list and then just modify it, like this one, the no placement cost. I mean, I wonder what this does. So let's just try to add this to the address list. What is this? Probably you can place stuff without ingredients or whatever. Okay. Let's just check in the inventory stuff. Okay. So we have some of the recipes here: the stone axe, the club, the hammer, the torch, and yeah, that's only it. And also some of the items that I already have before in this character. Okay. What happens if we try to change it to 1 instead? Will it change the inventory in some way? Okay, yeah. So now it temporarily unlocks all the recipes without having needing to actually find it yourself. So like, uh, but we have to make sure that this is craftable or not without even any ingredients. But I mean, as it says, no placement cost. It's probably just for placing, but we don't know if we still need to find the ingredients to craft all of these recipes. Okay, so let's just take I don't know, let's just take the bread, or I don't know. Okay, let's don't take bread. Let's just find something like a weapon. Okay, the iron axe. Okay, so the iron axe is not unlocked by in my recipe, and I have to use this one to enable it. Okay, so let's just click the craft. I mean, yeah, it shows as missing requirement, but what happens if I try to click on it? It will still, yeah, it will still craft that. Yeah, so we know that this is probably something that we can call a free crafting, or unlock all recipes temporarily. Yeah, and when we disable, okay, usually I just try to close the inventory first, and then let's just try to disable the value, which is 0. Okay, when you open it, yeah, it all goes back to normal with the original recipes. And if it's not highlighted, you cannot even craft it because you don't have enough resources. So those are like the two things that we can already modify. But there's also this stuff here, which is the god mode, which is the ghost mode. So I mean, people already know what god mode means, so you can just add this to the address list, and then if you enable this to 1, you basically becomes invincible, the god mode, as it is. Yeah, I mean, like if you try to, I don't know, yeah, let's just try to do the debug fly, and then let's just go as high up, and then we disable the debug fly to make sure that we are really in the god mode. Yep, yeah, it shows as the health is subtracting by 100, but when we see the health in the bottom left there, it's still 25. So we know that we actually in the god mode itself. And yeah, it's just easy because we're just changing these flags to 1 and 0. And let's look at some of the other things that we can modify it to, like the stamina. Yeah, we can see that this is the current stamina, this is the max stamina. So let's just add both of them, add it to the address list, and then just freeze the current stamina. So you're just making sure that this is the current one and not some base stamina or whatever. Okay, so right now I'm currently sprinting, and as you can see, it's not really decreasing. But yeah, it still shows the stamina. It still shows this. This shows us the stamina stuff. Uh, okay, it still shows the stamina stuff. Uh, but it it will try to disappear for some time. And there is an easy way. I mean, you can even make a script out of it, just to move the max stamina into the current stamina. You can do it multiple ways. But let's just go into this structure first. And there are some of the stuff that you can also change it, like the comfort level, the stealth factor, the wake up timer, the scroll sense, the max place distance. Oh yeah, where is it? Yeah, okay. This is also interesting to the auto pickup range, which is like basically when you increase the auto pickup range. Yeah, when you increase the auto pickup range, you can uh if you're not in if you still have spaces in your in your inventory, when you have something dropping, when you have drops near your place, when you go to a certain distance or a certain range, your character will actually pick up all the items automatically. So if you increase this range, you can basically get all this stuff without having to go as near to the item itself. Like literally, like it's easy magnet auto pickup stuff, because you don't really have to go too far, but you can still get all the items all at once. And also there's this one too, which is the max carry rate. Let's just add this to the address list so you can see it. Okay, so now you can see the max carry weight here, which is the 300. Because when we open the inventory here, you can see that the current total weight is 112, and the current max weight, the max weight itself is 300. And we can just change it to 9999, for example, and it will just automatically changes. So now you have 9999 max weight. And you can also increase it a bit, but not too much, because I don't really recommend, if in some instances you don't it's not really recommended to change these values to a very big number, because we don't really know the consequences of doing this. But as I said before, you can even increase it a bit, but just not as much as you can, because it might affect the game in some way. So we just try to avoid that. We just try to avoid them as best as we can. So let's just set it to another, which is 9999. Okay, yeah, the value is so small, but yeah, that's basically it. If you're trying to take something and it's over 300, and it's you're not encumbered or whatever, basically you're not heavy on weight, it shows that the max weight is actually working. So you're actually modifying the actual max weight, and it's not just something that is displayed. And also some of the stuff here, like the speed, where is it there's this one it's not a flag, it's a float type value, where you can change the speed of your character itself. So you can just make it, when you run or when you walk, it will be faster than ever. I think this is it. Yeah, walk speed. Okay, let's just try to add this. Okay, there's also speed here too. Let's just add them too, because we're not sure if this is controlling all the speed or this is just controlling the walk speed. But we are really sure that this one is controlling the walk speed itself. So I'm just gonna copy this value first, so we can just replace it to the default one afterwards. Let's just change it to, I don't know, 5. Okay, let's just walk. Okay, so I think it's still normal. Oh no, let's just change it to 15. Let's see if it does anything. Okay, so we know that this doesn't really affect stuff in any way. uh I guess we can just restore it to the original one. Okay, so let's just play with this instead. So we know that the original value of this of this speed stuff is 4. So let's just copy this first, and then let's just change it to 15. Okay, yeah. So this one actually works. Basically, yeah, this one actually works. So we know that this is the one that's controlling the walk speed. But what about, okay, what about when we try to run? Okay, so we know that the run speed is still slower than walk speed. So the run speed is controlled by its own address. Meanwhile, this speed is only controlling the walk speed. Uh, yeah, it's assumed as that this is probably the actual one. Okay, let's just restore it to the original one. I usually just restore it to original one, or just make something so that I can easily choose the original value instead. And there are also some of the stuff over here that we can change to, like there's the inventory stuff, there's the swim stuff, there's also the flying. I don't know what is, because I never use this. Jump stamina usage, you can probably set it to 0, so when you jump you don't actually use that much of stamina. And also there's this one, the tolerate water. Oh, okay. So I guess these three would be the ones that are controlling whether you get damage from water or not. Because if you see the tolerate water, fire and smoke, yeah, of course, when the tolerate fire and smoke would be 0, because the character itself is not fireproof or smoke proof. It will get damage from fire and smoke. Meanwhile, we can still swim. Yeah, we can still swim because we can tolerate water. So I guess if we set it to 0, we can still swim, but we will get damage from water itself, which is kind of the opposite. Yeah. And also there's this one health, but from what I already played and messed with the values, this health is not the actual one. So you might need to check it yourself on finding the actual health value. And yeah, this is not the value that you have right now, because this is 25 and this is showing as 100, and this is not the max health even, because you can increase your max health to an even higher number. So when you see this health, I guess you can just ignore it for this game. It's probably the real one for the other games, but right now we're just talking about Valheim. And then there's also the stagger timer, and also the water level. I don't know what this is. Probably something related to do with the water. The swim timer, the noise range, the tamed. I don't know which one is this. Yeah. Okay. So these are the few things that we can find in the play structure. Uh, okay. Because I don't really need the structures already. I can just delete all the structures, and probably I can just define it again if I want to use it. Okay. So what can we actually find through this net info stuff aside from the player class? Let's just look at this console. Probably because as far as I've remembered, and yeah, I can confirm it, uh, console is disabled by default in the latest update of this game, because in the previous update when you press F5 you can actually access the console, but right now if you're trying to press F5 it won't do anything because they already disabled it, but there is a way to actually access it. Yeah, okay, so now we already see this. The console enable boolean, and then the address, and then the value which is false. But the problem is that if we try to change the value here to true, it won't change. You need to actually add the address manually to the address list. So in this case, I think you have to type in yourself. So let's just type in the address itself, which is 1997026.8e38, and we just change it to byte because Boolean flags are in 1 byte value in most cases. Yeah, I mean it's literally in most possible cases that Boolean flags are only true and false. So it's basically 0 and 1. Okay, let's just rename it as console enable. And then let's change it to 1 to see if we can enable console with the same hotkeys again. Voila. So now we can see that we already enabled console just by enabling, just by changing the values to 1. And then let's just type in help. And because this is a single player one, we can see this stuff, but not the other one. But but if you watch the other videos too, you can also see that they even have the cheat commands there. So how can we actually see the cheat commands there? Uh, because and we already have the console here. How do we unlock them in the first place? And there's nothing showing that the cheat stuff in the static fields, but we already have the instance of it, which is the address of the console. Yeah, this is basically the instance address of the console. So we can just copy this address, and then we can go to this memory viewer again, and then we can just control D or dissect data structures, the same thing, and then we can just paste the address, define the structure, and it shows the structure name console. Okay, so yeah, you can just click OK, and then we see that there's this one address called cheat. So let's just add it to the address list, and we don't really need this again. Just close it, and let's just rename. Let's just change the value to 1. Okay, so let's just type in help again. If we can see the cheat commands that we can do. Okay, so now we can see all the cheat commands over here, but are they working? Can we confirm that it is working? So let's just close this, okay, because let's just try to do the free fly. Okay, free fly. This is, I think, the photo mode. Yeah, toggling free fly camera. Okay, yeah, when I close console commands, yeah, right now I'm in the free fly camera already. So we know that the command works, and so basically, yeah, the cheat command works already. So yeah, that's it. And we can just type the command again to basically toggle it off, and we're back to normal. And if you want to disable the console again, we can just change it to 0, and then we can also disable cheat commands to 0 again. And then when I try to press F5, it doesn't do anything because we already disabled the console. So yeah, that's basically it. That's a few basics that we can find just by looking at the mono features of this Unity made game, Valheim. You can already find, I mean, there are a lot of stuff that we can also modify it, but it's up to you if you want to take a look at it yourself. And I'm just showing some of the basic stuff, uh, like the max carry weight, all that stuff. Probably you could just check if there are other interesting stuff that you can change, like the inventory or game camera or whatever, something like that. Okay, like this one, I will show you the last one. So we have the instance of the game camera. So let's just take the address here, and then we go to memory viewer, and then we go to tools, dissect data structures, uh, paste the address here, and then do the define new structure. We see the game camera, and then we see the play position. Okay, we don't really want to touch that, but we just want to change the field of view of the camera itself, which is this one. So we know that the default value is 65, but let's just try to add it to the address list so we know what the type is. So it's showing that the type is in float, Okay, so to make sure that you can see this better, okay, so now we have the value here 65, and this is our field of view. I guess you could see it because it's probably dark. I don't know if you have to wait for a bit, but yeah, okay, let's just, okay, I hope you can see the screen right now, but let's just go to chain engine and then change the value to something else like 90. Okay, so it works. We actually made it a bit wider, and also we can even change it a bit higher, like 120. Yeah, so this is how the field of view 120 when you set it to when you set the field of view to like this, and also some other stuff. Okay, let's just reset this to 65, which is the original one. And I think there is, yeah, one thing that's called distance. This one actually changes the distance between your character and the camera itself. By default, it sets to 1, but I think it can only go from 1 to 8 from what I tested before. So if we just set it to 1, yeah, now you can see that the camera is going as near to the character itself. But to, okay, if we want to make it as further as we can, let's just set it to 10 first, so we know that if 10 is the limit, or we can go higher, or it's limited to a lower amount. Okay, so we know that it changes from 10 to 8, and we know that it's probably the max value for the distance. And yeah, so now we're just changing the camera distance to be a bit further, and we can see like more stuff in our screen. Yeah, I mean, that's what you can also change in the game camera itself. Water clipping, I don't know what this one, probably clipping the camera with the water itself. Free fly, I mean FOV, if you're dealing with free fly, probably when you're dealing with the photo mode, you could probably change that. Okay, let's just delete all these structures. Let's just take a look at the other stuff as well. The game. Oh yeah, the profile name. Yeah, because this is the character name, which is Argo. Um, Sleeping safe timer. Shutting down RPC stuff, and also the HUD. I don't know how to pronounce that. Pickable piece, player plan. Yeah, there are a lot of stuff that you can basically change here, and it's up to you to actually modify it to your needs. There's even like door and damage types, character. Uh, yeah, but I mean this like this one, the character class. This is basically controlling every single character in the game, and it's not just uh the player itself. It's not just the player or the other players. This is involving even the monsters, because they are a character too, NPC, right? Non-playable characters. So this, if you try to modify this, it might affect every single character there is. And also, yeah, that's also bad. Like if you have played this game before, you already know that you cannot actually go and sleep in other people's bed. But if you check the methods here, there is something that shows that if it's mine or not, if it's current or not, you might be able to change it if uh, if you know how to deal with the script and stuff. But for this video, I'm not going to show any of those. I'm just going to show you what you can do with the values, and you can change it to your own needs. And it doesn't really matter, because this is basically client side, and you're just doing this to yourself. uh yeah, and then there's the element stuff, there's the man, which is the environment manager. I guess you can take a look at this too. Probably, yeah, there's the time of day, the debug time, day length, second. I guess you could change the time here. I'm not sure. Probably, yeah, you can change the time here. And some also, yeah, and some other stuff like inventory crate. inventory GUI, inventory data, the menu, music manager. Probably you can disable the music if you don't want to, or you can just I don't know if you can make the music play when it's not supposed to. And this Odin, okay, I don't know what this is. Probably, hopefully, it's not a spoiler. Uh, quality, river room. Yeah, there are a lot of stuff here. There are a lot of classes here that you can actually go one by one and check the methods or the fields, basically the values and the static fields, if you can even find the instance of it, so you can just dissect the structure of that particular address and look at the values of each offsets, so you can modify them to anything you want. And I guess that's it. uh, I hope you actually understand on how to make yourself god mode, or make yourself fly, or even like doing a max stamina or whatever. Yeah, I mean that's basically it. That's how you enable cheats in Valheim, but without using codes like I'm a cheater or dev commands or whatever. Basically, you just modify it yourself, because when you know and when you understand how to do this, you could probably understand how to modify the other values in other games as well. Probably Unity games, because Unity games, most of them, they use the mono stuff. So you could go to netinfo. Yeah, you could go to netinfo like this one, and then you could try to check at the classes and the methods and the fields if there are any interesting values that you can change. And yeah, that's about it. So I guess you guys can understand from the video itself, and you could try to apply it in your games, a single player, of course. Uh, and if, and this is really a strong if, and if it works in multiplayer, I don't really recommend you to ruin the experience of other players. That's the important thing, because if, I mean, this might or might not work in multiplayer games, but I don't really recommend you to do that. I'm just, let's like the one I'm showing now is in the single player mode, so I'm just testing all this stuff. And yeah, there are also mods that can improve the game itself, but right now I'm not using any of the mods, so this is just vanilla game, no mods whatever. And we just directly changing the built-in game values just by checking the structures itself. So that's all for today. I hope you guys can understand how the values work, how the structures works, and yeah, don't forget to subscribe, and then yeah, subscribe to this channel to see more of these videos coming, and also share this video to your friends or whatever. Yeah, share this video to your friends, so that they can also learn how to find these values in the game itself. That's all. I guess that's it. Yeah, I guess that's it. So yeah, thank you for watching this video, and see you guys probably in the later future. Peace.